Hi everyone, it's Ray Jorden here for another celebrity hangout. My guests today are no stranger to television, to be honest. They are Sean and Rebecca Reynolds from the TV hit Ghost Dimensions. They will be here in a second and they will be answering all your questions. Hope everyone is good today. As always, people ask me, where do I get this t-shirt from? Well, you can get this t-shirt from bulliesout.co.uk. Sorry, tell a lie. bulliesout.com. They're £15 and they're supporting anti-bullying. Kindness matters. Now, I'm just going to go and find my guests and bring them into the chat. Make sure you've got plenty of questions for you. Hi, Lorna. How are you? Right, let's get my guests in. There.
Hey!
Hey!
You good?
Sean, look at that do, mate.
Probably blonde now, isn't it? Blonde as anything.
Oh, I miss those days. I miss those days.
You know what? I can't look at him. I physically can't look at him. He'll ask me a question, I'll look down and say, yeah. I can't look at his...
But did you do it, Rebecca? Did you do it, though?
Only because he asked me.
No, because she's she wanted to.
Perfect. So, guys, thank you so much for giving up your time and coming to chat with me.
No, thank you for inviting us. This is amazing.
So if anyone's got any questions for Sean and Rebecca, please shout them in the chat room. Guys, if I miss a question, just shout it again. So what I want to know is for you first, guys, what's isolation been like for you and the kids?
You know what? It's been really fun. It's a time where we've all got together and we've had to spend together, locked up. We've got a big garden and we've got lots of people and lots of things to do to keep happy. And then they obviously keep us happy because they're just crazy kids. And then we've got Sean, who also keeps everyone happy.
And we've been doing YouTube live stuff as well recently to keep everybody happy. Follows us and stuff, and it's been good, and we're enjoying it, to be honest. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, because it's a family, it's a Judy family that we've got together now, so it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's one reason I started doing these lives myself, because I thought, what can I do to get people talking? How can I make things positive? And you're doing exactly the same thing. You're getting people talking, getting people together. Gosh, look at me. I look all hot and bothered.
Yeah. It's because you talk to us, right?
It's because
I know, right?
My hair's shining in your eyes.
Yeah,
it's reflecting off the heat.
Oh my God, I mean, you two are like superstars in the paranormal. I mean, come on.
Wouldn't go that far, right?
Oh, I'm joking. I'm joking. So guys, tell me what it was like for you. I'll start with Rebecca, ladies first, of course. When you were younger, did you have any interest in the paranormal when you were younger? Or was it something that you've grown your interest has grown?
Yeah, it's definitely an interest that's grown for me. I mean, when I was younger, I had lots of experiences. I lived in quite a few spooky houses and stuff. But I think the interest came when we moved into this house. We live in a cemetery, so it sort of lends itself to the paranormal. And then just sort of came together, didn't we, with ghost hunts and stuff. And I think it grew even more from there. So yeah, it's the house. 6 years ago today.
What about you, Sean? What about you?
I've always had an interest, and I had an experience when I was a child. And I woke up and there was a man stroking the dog on the bed. I remember he had this lumberjacket on with crosses and stuff. And I saw it as clear as day, and I was like, "Whoa!" I pulled the cover over my head because I couldn't escape the room. Because if I needed to get out of the room, I had to pass this man stroking the dog. And the next morning, I woke up and I asked my mum. I told her what had happened, and she said it was she said, "Oh, I know who that was. It was a guy who was a family friend who had hung himself, and she believes he may have come over to a visit." And so then I was like, "Oh right, ghosts. What's all this about then?" And then so I started having an interest in that, and I also started having an interest then in UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. Because it's all sort of paranormal and it all ties together. So and then after that, that's when it started to grow, the experiences, the interest, And then over the last few years, as you'll know already, it's grown even bigger, and we just go out now and we investigate and we film and stuff. But previous to that part of it, I always had a keen interest and wanted to know, but not, it wasn't like a full-on hardcore ghost hunter years ago. That's only developed recently. But that's where my interest started years ago, when I had my personal experience. And I think that's where a lot of people's experiences happen when they're younger, and then it develops over time.
Do you know what, Ray? When we moved to the cemetery, we couldn't even close the curtains upstairs because we had to see over the graves. We were like this, close the curtains. So it's definitely grown over the years.
There is a question from Lorna. She said, how did you both get into ghost hunting? So Sean, you pretty much just covered that, how you got to. So is that the same for you, Rebecca? Can I call you Rebecca or Bex?
Bex. Bex. My mum calls me Rebecca when I'm naughty.
Okay.
No, it's pretty much the same, to be honest. I mean, obviously the experiences that I've had when I was younger grew, and then living here and, taking the equipment out into the cemetery, our own back garden, if you like, it sort of grew from there. So pretty much the same as Sean, to be honest.
And I was just talking about the cemetery where we live. There's parts, we went out when we first moved here into the cemetery, and there's a church and there's some children's graves next to the church, and we had meters, and not surprisingly they acted crazy, didn't they, near the children's graves. We had to knock.
It was a height though, wasn't
it?
It was the children's height. They all went wacky, and then as soon as you lifted it up more adult height, stopped. And it still does that to this day.
It does, and literally
can't explain it.
Outside, which we can't show you because there's like a big bush over the where the fence is growing. No, the fence is not growing, the bush is growing over the fence.
I get you.
There's no graves, and if you walk there with meters inside of the graveyard, now we're talking maybe just over 1.5 meters, you get constant activity on the meters in a patch, and if you lift it higher, then with it you don't, do you? It's weird. And there's this weird tree over there as well that also has constant EMF readings. So
if obviously there's always some skepticism with any of these shows, and investigations. So is there any electrical cables that could have set, or anything that could have set these off? Well, if there was in the cemetery, I mean, I can't dig it up and have a look, but I know that they're burying people now literally outside our fence. So if there is anything there, then they're going to start digging into those when they start burying people. And so I highly doubt it. If there is a cable, it'll be running from our house to the church, because we have the supply in the house for the church, which is switched off anyway, because the church is derelict, so we made sure it's switched off. But that, I believe, that would probably run literally underneath the road towards the church. I can't imagine it going straight through the grass, because it is a cemetery, isn't it? So, but I could be wrong. But I don't understand why the EMF readings float. I just don't get it. If you hold it to the ground, you don't get anything, but it's floating in midair. Interesting. Kerry says, Sean is mad, but we love him. And Bex is lovely, and we love her.
We love Kerry as well.
I can be crazy.
What have we done? Oh my God. Who asked these on anyway? I mean, Lorna said, what's the most haunted location you've both been investigated? So let's go a particular favourite for both of you then.
Definitely Newsham Asylum in Liverpool.
Okay.
It's amazing. We've been there 7 times. When we had a group of investigators, when we used to take the public out, we did it on our own, just investigators one night, and you never ever come away from that place without some sort of experience. It's phenomenal. The paranormal stuff that happens in there is amazing. So definitely one of the top is Newsham Asylum, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, that's one of my favourite places, but the one that sticks in my mind a lot also would be Hat Green's secret nuclear bunker.
Yeah,
have you been there, Ray?
No,
It's in Nanwood, and it's amazing. And it's obviously a bunker, and it's all dressed to look like an army bunker, and all the stuff's inside, all the memorabilia. But one thing that we were told when we investigated in there was that if you bring anything new, like new equipment that the potential spirits hadn't seen, they would be interested in it. And I didn't believe it. And so we took a trigger camera. So every time you broke the beam, the camera took a photo. And I remember we placed it exactly where the girl who owns the venue said to place it, which was down some stairs where some lady had died or fell over that they believed. And when we placed it there, and this is literally pre-recording anything, we placed it there, set it up because we knew that, you know, the battery's not going to die if it's not taking any photos. We came down to do a last check before we filmed, and it was pitch black, the bunker, with the lights off. You can imagine there's no natural daylight. We could see flash, flash, flash. And as we went downstairs, the camera was flashing, and we were like, oh my God. And so we looked at the photos, and obviously there was nothing there that we could see. But the place is one of my favourite places because of the activity that you get there. It's constantly varied, and it's not always the same.
But also the walls, how thick are the walls?
They're quite thick. I think
Really
they're about
thick,
a metre or so.
it's a bunker, isn't it? And you can hear things above you and beside you and stuff, especially in the cinema room. You can hear the chatter and the white noise and stuff, and everything's turned off. It's really good in Hackgreen, isn't it? We were only saying about we'd like to go back, to be honest.
I remember the last time we went there, just to finish that off with that, we were setting up when we were filming for the Past Hunters, and we had to go upstairs and say, listen, can you stop making noise? Because people were dragging furniture, and Derek's wife was sat there, Gwen, and she wasn't pulling any furniture, you know, especially the big heavy stuff. We were like, who's pulling the furniture? And she said, not me.
Not me.
It's not, well, I've been sat here, and she was on Facebook, I think, or Twitter. But yeah, there was somebody pulling furniture. We actually thought somebody was, you know, moving stuff around upstairs. We were trying to film the intro to the show, and there was nobody there. And we thought, wow, that's amazing, especially with it being so thick between the floors. We'd heard something, and then apparently that's been heard before as well, so it's quite good.
There's a question from Lorna. She says, do your kids get scared, obviously living in a cemetery, or are they used to it?
I think my eldest, she's 9 now, but when we moved here, she was sort of, she's quite young. She didn't understand, to be honest. And when we went out ghost hunting, we used to tell her we were bird watching because we didn't want to say ghost hunting. And she sort of grown up with it, so she doesn't really get scared. And then the other two, they've been born in the cemetery, if you like, so they're not really scared. They just take it as a pinch of salt. If something happens in the house, which it often does, they don't really address it. They turn a blind eye. So they're not. I don't think they're really scared.
So there's a question again from Lorna again. Lorna's one of my regulars. She, that sounds a bit bad, doesn't it, when I'm in regulars?
Ray?
What have you been doing?
I know.
Wow. Hey.
I thought you were on the other team, you know.
Oh, best of both worlds here. Not really.
Aye. Yeah. When it's down.
Yes, do as the lockdownies do.
Talking of lockdown, Lorna wants to know, what have you got coming up after lockdown?
Oh, lots, Lorna. Lots and lots.
Can we hold fire on that question? Because I want to go back a little bit to Past Hunters. How did that all come about? How did you write that?
That wasn't even meant to be on TV, right?
So we made 4 shows for us.
Just for us.
And it came up to one. It wasn't for the television. It was just for fun. And it came up to one Christmas, and myself and Bex, we both sat there and we said, "What should we buy each other for Christmas?" And I don't know. I don't really need anything. And we found out that that channel on Sky called Showcase, you can pay to put your show on there.
I remember.
And so we said, well, that'd be fun. Let's do that. Let's put our show on there, and that'd be our Christmas treat. And so we did, and it got slated because it was rubbish. And
it was rubbish.
But we didn't care because it was a present.
It
was our present, and we were like, oh look, we're on the telly, like, you know, and we paid for that. But it got slated, and then we did some
We used
ghost.
to do the ghost hunts at that time as well, didn't we? Past
Yeah.
investigations, we were called.
We did ghost hunts, didn't we?
Yeah.
And the ghost hunts, we invited Derek across at one point to do a ghost hunt at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And after that, we became friends. He asked if we would like to do some more with him, and we said yeah. And so we did. I think we did 12. I can't. Was it 12 for the first series? I think we did 12 for the first series. And we had nowhere to put them. Nobody wanted to buy them. We just made them, and we spent a lot of money making them. And one day I decided to call, was it Fox? Yeah. Because they started broadcasting Derek Acorah's Ghost Hounds. And it turned out they were happy to buy it. You know, they were happy to buy the past hunters. So I was like, yeah. Come on.
And there's one episode that really stands out for me with Past Hunters, and I'm not sure where it was. It was to do with you, Bex. Yeah. There was you, Sean, and Derek standing in a room, and you didn't really freak out, but I think he was more kind of amazed about what you were seeing. There was a shadow moving on a wall, and you hide behind Derek.
It was amazing. Sean wanted to put some trigger object in the room next door to us, and it was just me and Derek, and we were talking, and I was asking him questions about the location, and then all of a sudden I just saw this massive shadow, and after all it happened, we saw the shadow, and then Sean came out, and Sean saw the shadow as well, and we were looking at this, asking questions, then it vanished into the room that Sean had just put the trigger object in. And then later on, we spoke to the lady who owned it, ran it, looked after it.
Leslie.
That was it. And she said it's been known that a 7-foot figure walks the grounds. And we were like, it was just confirmation for us. It really was. But it was honestly hair-raising. The heckles went up when you saw it. It was so big and bold.
Isn't that really good validation, though, that all three of you saw this? Not, when one person sees something and somebody doesn't, you kind of think, okay. But when three people see the same thing.
But not just us, the crew saw it as well. And I kept saying, stand still, do not move. And then we were testing the crew, saying, like, move your arm, move your leg, move, you move. And it just sort of, it was almost like we'd caught it out. And when we spotted it, it sort of stood still, and it was froze, the shadow, and then it sort of said, right, that's enough now. You've seen enough of me. Yeah. I'm moving on.
So how did it make you guys feel, though, seeing that? I mean...
It was buzz.
It was a buzz, yeah, because it was something that you could see. Was that in the room? I think I'd gone into the...
us. No, you joined us.
Yeah, I joined. I went into the trigger object room, then came in. It was a buzz, and especially when you see it back as well, because sometimes you see things on these investigations, like we watched Leeds Museum back on Ghost Dimension yesterday, or the day before, and there was Jane saw a figure going across by a tomb of a guy called Nessie Moon, a mummified priest. Now we couldn't.
Can I just stop you there? We've got a real idiot in the room at the moment, a guy called Alex Top. I'm not going to block you, but can I just ask you to be really polite towards my guests? Do you remember I've had a bit of trouble recently with a few idiots, and we appear to have another one in the room claiming he's Russian.
There's always one. There's always one, isn't he?
I would appreciate you remove yourself, or I will pretty much remove you. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
No, well said. So you see things sometimes that people don't, or not everybody sees. Like Jane, when I was talking about the Leeds Museum, she witnessed on camera this hooded figure moving across the screen. Now we didn't see it because our eyes didn't capture it, but we caught it on camera. Yeah. And so it's great to what I mean is it's great to see stuff with your own eyes happening at that moment when you're investigating, instead of just seeing it when you're playing it back in the edit. It's really, really good. It's really fun.
Ace.
Fantastic. So kind of, sorry, that comment's really thrown me for a second. Hold on. Why did you stop doing it for? Did you not want to continue doing more and more, or was it just this is a 1 season, 2 seasons, and then I'll do something else?
So we filmed a new series of The Past Hunters, and then complications happened internally which is very see,
it's hard to speak about
because
to
we're
be
under
honest.
NDA with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Let's move on quickly then. Let's move on quickly. So I'm going to ask you, I'm not one to hold back about saying certain things. So not in a rude way, of course, but what do you think is right with paranormal shows? Obviously yours. And what do you think is wrong with paranormal TV shows?
Well, I think it's right sometimes where it can bring comfort to people.
Yeah.
You know, if there's, and it can show you what can happen in the spirit world. You know, in this, what it can give you real evidence sometimes. But we flicked on a ghost show the other day, and we don't. Let's be honest, we'll tell you we don't really watch a lot of ghost TV because when we're not filming, we also like to relax. But we flicked one on because I said to Beck, so I'd like to just see this one. Because it's a new show and I want to see it, or it's a comeback of another show, and it was boring. And I think the reason why is because they put too much effort into trying to become personalities on the show instead of giving the customer, the viewer, sorry, the customer, the investigative experience of what happens on these shows. And I know it's nice to sexy some of them up and make it look really good, but sometimes I think egos, in fact, we've seen a few recently on different things, can get in the way of it. And I think if you have an ego and want to do it, it's not good.
Yeah. I'll talk to you guys offline, but I've come across that recently in a massive way. Yeah. The problem I find is now, I mean, people just want to be famous.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
It. Yeah.
I remember the days when I used to go out with my ghost hunting team. It was just 5 of us. We used to go to a location.
Yeah.
I'm talking over 10, 15 years ago. We never paid for a location because there wasn't that much of an interest.
Yeah.
We used to write our little reports, put them on our website, and we used to do it for pleasure and interest because we were interested.
That's
and we had our team, we had our team medium with us. And then we luckily, you know, it wasn't luckily, I'm grateful now, but we got asked by ITV to do a screen test. And we thought, oh, well, you know, we're never going to get anywhere. We did a screen test, and a week later we got the gig, and that's how I got into the ghost hunting TV shows.
Yeah.
But now, all these years later,
it's different.
It's just so popular that people see it as a meal ticket, and it's not, and it doesn't pay that well.
No, it really does not. Yeah.
It's a shame, really, because you know some shows out there now. You know, it's also mocking what we do and stuff, and it's hard to do it when the shows are out there that are doing that, aren't they?
I remember we watched one. We got slated by one lad, and I don't name and shame anybody, so I won't. But then we went on another show, which was on. I can't remember. It was one of the Sky channels, anyway. You know, one of the mainstream Sky channels. And we were on this show. And then we were like, what's this lad going to say now? You know what I mean? This person going to say about us. And then, we're nice as pie. They were like, oh. And it goes with what you said, Ray, which is, I want to be famous. You know what I mean?
Just want to be famous these days.
You know, as soon as, because you know as well as I do, I mean, you can get famous for being horrible, but if you're too horrible, you're not going to get famous. Do you know what I mean?
Or too much of an ego.
Or too much of an ego. They're not going to pick you up, you know? And,
I think if you're going to do something like paranormal TV, just do it right. I mean, there's a particular, again, I'm not going to name and shame anyone, but I think you'll get my idea where there was a particular show out which could have been potentially really good, but wasn't at all.
Right.
And there was I have to be very tactful.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But we've spoken about this particular show. We have spoken, so I can't really. It's really difficult.
No, don't worry. Send it me psychically. Oh, I just got it.
I'm sending it now. Let's just say it wasn't. Let me say it wasn't a very responsive show.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and I just think if you're going to do something, if you're going to present a show, make sure you present it well. Know your facts, know your script, know where your cameras are. Look to your audience. Don't go looking around like that when you're being filmed. If you're interviewing someone,
talks about it.
You know, make sure you engage with them. Don't look elsewhere, thinking of what the time is.
What time is it, babe?
Very funny. Lorna says, I love anything to do with the paranormal, but some shows I've given up on. There's not many on TV now. Okay.
It's true.
Yeah,
but you know what, Lorna? If you've got Sky Q,
yes,
go on to Sky Q and go on the Roku channel and you can watch Ghost Dimension. I've just given someone to watch
a little shameless plug there.
Plug there, right?
No, guys, I actually think what you did was great with Ghost Dimensions, especially when obviously you started off together. Then obviously, Bex, you were pregnant and you took some time out when you had your baby, and then you continued son on your own, didn't you? I mean,
yeah, right,
brilliant, brilliant idea, brilliant.
Yeah, because we said, Bex, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to go out there and do it solo, until you're ready to come back.
Loved it. He loved it.
It was peaceful.
He did.
No. So, with Ghost Dimensions, did you have an idea how you wanted to project it to your audience? Because I see it as a husband and wife investigating together, no mimicry, no gadgetry, no entertainment fact. It's just real, and what you see is what happens.
That's exactly what we wanted to portray. We wanted it to be raw. So what we saw is what you guys see. I mean, there's so much on the editing floor. Yeah. We have to take out so much stuff, but that is exactly what we'll portray to everybody. Is what you see is what we do. You get.
But also on top of that as well, what we also have done, and people will know that I've watched the early seasons of Ghost Dimension, is we've listened to what feedback has been very, very much with a keen ear, and we've tweaked and twisted the shows and the production of it to make sure we can't always hit everybody's wants and wishes and stuff, but we've tweaked it and listened to what they didn't like as much and tried to make sure. So we've made sure that if people want more replays or explanations of things, we've done that for them.
We always say as well that we want to do it for them, guys. We want to do it for the people who watch us. We do this for them as well as liking it ourselves. We do.
Yeah, you've frozen for some reason.
That's weird, isn't it? Can you still hear us?
I can still hear you, but I've got a lovely pair of eyes looking at me, Sean, at the moment, which is frozen. There you are. You're back. There we are. And now I can't hear you. No, can't hear you at all. We've lost you. No, can't hear you. What I'm going to do is close you down and bring you back in. Okay? And there we go, guys. We're having a few technical hitches at the moment, but please do get your questions coming into the chat box. Let's view that one. Yes, let's bring them back in. Hopefully we've sorted out those bugs. Yes, you're back. There we go.
It's probably ghosts in the house.
Honestly. I invite you to do this and you bring flipping spiritor. Hey?
You can't get the stuff, can you?
No, sadly you can't. So with Ghost Dimensions, obviously, what you see is what you get. With, how can I say, has there ever been any footage that for you has been so dramatic or so scary that you've decided not to put it in the show because it might come across as too fake? Do you see what I mean? I'm not being rude at all.
We have, yeah, we've done that.
We've done that with
because we put one thing in, which was an investigation we did. It was a flying solo that I did at the Market Hotel in Altrincham, and there was a voice call, and it said, "I never."
Yes.
And when we played it in the edit, I said, "Bex, come and listen to this."
No, I was sitting there. Yeah. Sean was sitting on the table at this time, and I was sitting over here. Obviously, I was pregnant, so I can't go out. And then Sean said, "Oh my God, listen to this." Took the earphones out, and it sounded like me saying, "I never."
Yeah.
I was honestly, I couldn't believe it. I
But-
couldn't believe. I said, that's me. He said, it's not you, because this was in the location last night.
But because of, well, and it sounded like Bex. Some people actually believe it was fake.
They did, yeah.
And we're like, no, you know, if we were going to fake that, we wouldn't leave the voice
use my voice
crystal clear. You know what I mean? And it was there has been things that we've left because we thought, you know, if we show that, it just.
You're frozen again, guys. Oh, you're back. No, you're back again. You're back again. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Hang on. I can't hear you. Hang on. Right, guys, we're having a few technical difficulties with my guest tonight. It's probably the ghosts in their house. They live in a cemetery. But let's get them back in. 1 second. Let's get them back in. Hi, Raffle Club.
There we go.
Honestly, Sean, have a word with your ghost, will you?
I know. You know what? I don't know what happened there. But oh, look at that. She put us in the dark now. What are you trying to now she broke the light. There we go.
I was trying to put it down because it's very dark.
Is that better?
Oh my God. You guys need to do a comedy show of some kind. It's really funny, really funny, really funny. So we were talking about you put something in Ghost Dimensions, which was really scary. Really scary?
Oh, the voice.
Oh, so it's the voice.
That's it. Yeah.
We put it in, and people messaged and said, "Is this real?" Because it sounds like Bex. And we're like, "Yeah, it is real." But some people didn't believe it because it sounded like Bex, and because of that, we've left some things that we could have put in out, but only a couple of things, not massive or anything like that. But what we have started doing is we started releasing some stuff as unseen footage for people to see back to and have a look at it.
Good. You probably get asked this question all the time, guys. So where would you most like to investigate anywhere in the world? Can I get a location from you both?
Oh, yes.
I think mine's got to be Alcatraz. Definitely.
Okay.
San Francisco. I went as a kid, and it was one of those places where you walk around and you've got the ear and you're like, wow. And then as an adult, obviously we do this investigation for a living. You know, it's somewhere you'd think that would be a fantastic place to investigate. Definitely Alcatraz.
Okay, cool.
And I'd like to go to Waverly Hills.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
As well, and check that out and see if it's as bad as it's made out. I'll probably have to do a couple of days there, you know, to
Of course you would,
fill it. And she'd probably leave me there.
What's the worst experiment you've done each, like on a solo? Because I remember when I did Haunting Australia, I was supposed to be put in a mortuary chiller, but unfortunately I kind of chickened out a little bit. I'm honest to say, I'm honest. I sat on the tray, laid my head on the wooden block, the original wooden block. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Don't blame you. Do not blame you.
And I think it purely, in my defence, it was, had we, Ian Lawman and myself, had we just gone with a camera guy to the mortuary, got in, bang, closed the door, I could have done it. But there was a 45-minute wait when the camera's set up, you know, so my nerves were getting to me. So I think I would challenge myself to do that again somewhere, I think.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That'll be good.
You should.
Yeah. So what about you? What experiments would you like to do that would really push and challenge yourself?
Oh, man. I'd like to be locked in maybe an asylum
I was thinking of
on my own for overnight, you know, but literally with just a radio if I get into deep trouble to get out. And I think that would be an experience because I've been into some weird asylums, and I think if you're on your own, you're going to get more targeted.
Yeah, you are. I don't know. I don't think I'd survive an asylum overnight as well. Maybe an asylum for a few hours. But mine's a bit milder, I think, because I was pregnant. That was my last one, 30 East Drive. So I couldn't really do much. And when the door opened, that was it for me. I just sat down and didn't do anything else because that pushed me over the edge.
Yeah.
I think it would be somewhere like that, 30 East Drive on my own. and sleep over. I think that would challenge me to the end.
Oh, do you know what my mind's thinking now? Like,
No, Ray.
no, 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 no. It's almost like you've got unfinished business, and it would make, you know, like Sean's done his flying solo.
No, 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 Ray.
Yes, good idea. I like that, Ray. I like that.
No.
Yeah, maybe just a one-off. Maybe just a one-off. There you go.
Explain.
Ooh.
There was a question from Jill. She said, "What is the worst ghost dimension show that you filmed?"
Ooh.
Oh, the word.
I'm not sure. Worst, as in awful show, but let's go for Paranormal Activity.
Well, recently it was have to be the House of the Devil in Gran Canaria when we flew there and did.
That was
Okay.
That was really scary
because you're in a foreign country. There's so English they do, but not the ghosts don't really speak English, and the activity was different as well. You know, so it was different to what we would expect.
Also, we parked the car. Must have been what was it? About a mile or mile and a half away from the actual location because you couldn't get down with the car. And so when you hear these experiences happening, you think, I can't go quickly to the car to save you, to lock myself in the car. I'm stuck in this location. And we took our friend, and he speaks Spanish, and every time he spoke Spanish, there was an instant connection, an instant reply. When we spoke English, it was sort of quiet. But then as soon as he was like, hola, there's something back, and we were like, oh, wow. Yeah, that was definitely one of the worst, I think.
You know, that's really, really interesting to say that, because obviously the spirits weren't understanding you guys because you're British.
Yeah.
Because I always have the impression that ghosts and spirits rather can understand us whatever the language. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, well, that's what you assume, don't you, until you actually go there and you know, go through it and think, oh, okay, yeah, they don't understand us.
And
Good job, we brought Marco.
If people are spirits of people, like we're led to believe, if they speak Spanish and didn't speak English, you know, they're not gonna. They're like, hey, what's you saying? Yeah. But yeah, it is, like you said, Ray, people expect everybody to speak English, you know, but not always the way.
So do you prefer working with or without mediums?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Working with mediums on a location that I think it would require a medium to give you extra information.
Yeah.
But I also like working without them sometimes because I like the essence of surprise.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and for me, you know, I don't want to know if there's a nasty man in that room.
Because I'm going to
go in there, and if he wants me and whatever he wants to do, well, I'm going back out.
Wants to touch you,
he raised like, if you want to touch me, I'm on my way. No.
Go on then.
Yeah. There's a man in there. But on all seriousness, if you know, I like to sometimes not know.
Yeah. The art of surprise in the paranormal world.
But don't you think the best bit of equipment to use is just us, our own senses? And, you know, I think we're all kind of, I don't know if we really are, but I think we're all kind of psychic in some way, because when we go to see a house and we're going to buy a house, we know if that house feels good or not.
Exactly.
Now, where does that come from?
Yeah, sixth sense. I think we're all born with it. It's just we use it or tap into it. I think you're right there, Ray.
Jill says, what's the strangest show that you've done?
Strangest show?
Strange Japanese, when we filmed with the Japanese. And we went to
we love them.
Fuji, we went to Weir Mill. And everything that we said.
We did a few shows with them, to be honest.
Yeah, everything we said, they repeated in Japanese literally seconds after. So if we went, is anybody there? They were like, who's that? And that was so surreal.
And then when it came out and it was dubbed, Sean had a really deep voice. And I had a squeaky voice. And it was ace. It was ace to watch. But that's definitely the most strangest shows we've filmed.
Well, you know you've made it when you've been in Japan, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, bless you. So what's the future? Where do you go from here? Because I know that you're, on various channels now. You're getting out there. So where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself going now?
So we're going to film another series. We started, then COVID came in and stopped it. So we're going to continue doing that. We've also got news coming out in June for the Americans again.
Yes, good news as
So
well.
more
Really.
good news. We obviously launched on the Roku channel, which isn't. I didn't understand what the Roku channel was a few months back. I thought everybody could just sign up to Roku, and you can, and you just go and put shows on there. But our show got picked up by Roku Direct and put on the Roku channel. So that's now launched in the US, Canada, and UK. But we've got some even bigger news coming as well next month, haven't we?
Yeah, watch this space. Amazing.
But you know what? We want to go. We just want to keep doing it, keep having fun,
keep doing what we love, really.
Keep the family going of Ghost Dimensioners.
We always call them the GD family because that's what they've turned out to be over this lockdown period. If it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't have got to know the fans so much.
We know we're a bit too sometimes.
We do.
We're a bit filthy.
Jill says, how do you know if you have a ghost in the house? How would she know? How would she know?
Well, you would know because, well, if you didn't have a ghost in the house, you wouldn't know anything because nothing would really happen.
Well, I don't know, actually. There's two ways of answering it, because when Sean had his cottage, we didn't really know there was anything there. And then it was only to the time where we were going to move out. Yeah. And then things started to happen. So this...
because you knew that.
It was obviously me. It was obviously... I drew presents out of the wall.
The evil one.
But no, what I'm trying to say is, Sean had lived there for years before I got, and so he didn't have any experiences. It was fine. It was hunky dory. And then I turn up, and then all of this stuff starts happening. And then we say,
"What's that tell you, Ray? Psycho." Yeah,
and then we moved. We decided to move to somewhere bigger, and it was then we started having all of these experiences. And then when Sean started packing up, we found these documents in the kitchen drawer under
down there at the side, aren't you?
And it was the guy, Francis, I think his name, had died in the house.
Okay.
And so I think if you've got a ghost in the house, it's not necessarily going to make itself known unless it wants to.
And maybe you need to feed it energy.
Maybe feed it energy, maybe the right energy or something.
Like your spooky, scary energy came in and kicked the ghost, didn't it?
So has that particular spirit followed you, or from the cottage to here? No.
I think so.
We moved into this house, and then we found out after we bought it, a guy called Ginge died here.
Yeah, Ginge. And he's buried in the cemetery as well.
He's this little plaque by a little tree, isn't he?
Yeah.
He worked at the biscuit factory. One of the children saw him one day, and it
was when we first moved
upstairs,
in. Sean was at work, and my youngest, it was just me and her at the time, and she said, "Mummy, there's a man with red hair shouting at me, asking me what's my name." And he was in Sean's closet, and I was like, "Okay, love, let's go." And then one night I was putting her to bed, and she said, "Mummy, there's a doctor behind you." Oh, in my room. I was like, "Okay, darling, night, let's go." That was obviously my dad, because he was a doctor. But no, I think... Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because my youngest, she's said about a doctor only recently. But I think if you got a ghost in your house, you definitely know about it.
Yeah.
Kerry says, Sean, how dare you blame Bex? Bex, when you go back out, purposely lose him on investigation.
You know what, Kerry? Amazing idea. See, this is why we love Kerry, because she's got all these bright ideas.
Well, I would say put Sean back in his closet. There we go.
Definitely.
So what would you say to people who are wanting to get into the whole paranormal scene, who want to start doing investigations, more of a kind of personal thing?
Yeah. My personal suggestion would be go out there, investigate on your own, first of all, or find a small group of, hardcore investigators. Don't book a ticket just to go on a ghost hunt, because you're not going to have the full paranormal experience. Go and find some group locally. There'll be somebody nearby that does investigations, and go and experience it with them, or pop out yourself with some equipment. You don't even need equipment, just use your body and your mind and your senses, and just ask and see somebody's there to give you a sign, and do it yourself. But Don't go out, spend loads of money on stuff. Just go out there, see if it works. You might
See if
not
you
like it.
Exactly. You might be too frightened. Yeah. See if
So we've got probably about 15 minutes left, but unfortunately with Instagram, it always kicks you off about 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
So I'll say, yeah. So I'll say we've got about 10 minutes left. So if anyone's got any questions for the guys, please ask them in the chat room. So I've got a question for you again. So what do you think about the whole paranormal unity thing? Do you think it'll ever happen?
Oh, it will never happen.
no,
Para-unity.
I don't think it's a very bitchy world, isn't it? The paranormal.
Yeah. It's like
it's
like anything, you know. You don't have airline para-unity, build a unity. You don't have any sort of unity. You know, there is places that have unity, but it's very rare, and it's always going to be a bit somebody slagging somebody off, isn't it?
People are out these days for what they can get for themselves. There's no unity anymore.
Yeah,
and it's quite apparent as well when you look out there, and everybody's away from each other and what the world's going to turn into. I don't think it'll ever be para-unity.
No,
I think what I get really frustrated is that there's a lot of people that do this to make a few bucks, a few pennies, and it annoys me to the hell where they offer paranormal courses to make you a professional paranormal investigator, whereas we know there's no certification board.
Yeah,
that winds.
It winds me up.
Yeah. We've been asked that question. What qualifications do you need? And we're like, nothing.
I remember that.
Nothing,
yeah, who
no
was
questions.
that for?
I don't know. It was just somebody who asked us. Not a bad question, not a bad person or anything. But we got asked the question a couple of days ago and said nothing.
One of the networks asked us the same, didn't it, as well? Was it
yes,
one of the
Really
networks. TV or something?
Yeah, they said, what qualifications do you need?
What?
Don't.
You know what I mean?
Just need you.
So what's the best proof that each of you have had personally and then together as a collective of the afterlife?
Oh, I think for me, 12, and I was in my mum and dad's house, and I was about to turn my TV off, and there was a figure behind me, a white figure. She was dressed in white, and she put her hand on my shoulder, and I froze, and a really heart beating froze. And she said, "Are you okay?" And I was too scared to talk. And then eventually she went, and I mustered up the energy to get out of my room and go see my mum. And my mum said it was her mum. And I looked at her and said, "Yeah, that's exactly what she looked like. Yeah, and all this." So I think it was that.
Mine was the one I mentioned earlier with the man on the end of the bed that was stroking the dog. But one thing that maybe this isn't the same for you, but one thing that struck out that's happened to us together was at the asylum in Liverpool, where we were upstairs and we saw a figure, like a misty figure appear, and it was like a couple of meters in front of us, and there was only like 5 of us stood there talking about it, and we had to run because it was that
the
bad.
early days.
So
it was
scary.
the early days before we were pro investigators.
We were on top floor as well, a big dark, unlit stairway.
It came out of the cupboard that like a little boy had died in as well, so that made it more impactful, if you like.
There's a question from Jill. She said, "When I go to bed, I see a blue flash in the corner of my bedroom, and other times she hears noises." What do you think that could be?
Well, it could just be.
Could be a portal, maybe.
Or the police. You got a lot of police around. I'm joking.
It could potentially be a portal.
It could
to something else, and then the noises that you're hearing. What times hear noises? Maybe that's the.
Maybe it is the spirit in your house that you mentioned before. Maybe it's making itself known.
No.
And that's because blue is quite common, and maybe that is the way.
Maybe that's the only way that spirit can. Maybe it's only energy is to make noises.
The best thing to do would be to ask that spirit to do something different in the room, and see if it does something to command, and then you'll know better then if it's just the police going by, or if it's joking, or if there is a spirit there. You'll know if it's something natural or not natural.
Yeah.
One question I do like to ask paranormal people like yourself, and it's one that is really open for debate. What do you think about orbs?
Orbs.
Oh, see, that's
dusty.
There's a lot of dust in the atmosphere.
Bit dusty, that, Ray. Hey,
it's always dusty.
Question, right?
See some orbs.
This is an orb. This is an orb.
An orb.
Most of it's dust. 99% of it's dust. There is going to be the occasion where somebody does capture something real, And I've seen some things, but I mean,
we've seen some things editing, and we were like, you know, you does this and this, and then you say, oh look, go up, and it goes up.
There is those occasions where it's real, and you know it's real, but a lot of it can be bugs. A lot of it can be bugs or dust.
You know, you mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of dust in the atmosphere.
Especially if you're in like an asylum and it's not been cleaned or anything.
Yeah. Or even off our clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot of ghost hunting events or ghost hunting appearances at events, and I'm not one to poo-poo anyone's experience. I'm really not. And it's so many times I've had to grit my teeth and not say something, because when someone's taken a someone's walked past, someone's taken a picture, and you see all these orbs, and we know it's dust. And I feel bad because I'm not being honest enough to tell them, but I don't want to spoil their experience of what they believe they're seeing.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
That's why we've got Paul on our team, because he tells them the truth.
So we asked Paul to look at it.
we asked Paul to look at the pictures.
Only because it's not, isn't it?
It's hard, isn't it? It is hard to tell people.
I'll be as honest as I can with people, and then if it's borderline where I think that is not real, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell them. But if I'm not sure, I'll send them to Paul.
Jill says, Sean and Bex, you pair make my day even better every day.
Oh, good.
You make my day even better every day.
Oh,
I'm so
thank you very
glad
much.
we
That's
do.
lovely.
It's nice
lovely
to see
to
that.
hear that. That's what we like. Do it for you guys. That's all. We do it for you guys.
Do you get a lot of fans getting in touch, reaching out, telling you, "Oh, come and visit my location. We've got a haunted house."
Yeah, all the time. Sometimes we go, sometimes they're too far away. But yeah, all the time, every day.
Yeah.
Every day we open the email. I think there's probably like 3 to 5 emails coming through the website every day. Sometimes it's more than that, but it's people trying to sell us SEO, and stuff like that. But we get a few through the website,
And do you also have people contact you from overseas as well, inviting you to places?
Yeah, especially in the US.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'd love to go to the US.
We have some good fans over there as well that have got locations lined up for us. And we had some dates ready to go. And obviously, this stops us going anywhere. So, and that was good because a lot of that was, a little road trip as well, like a road map of where we were going. So they weren't too far to get to either.
I was a couple of years ago, and I don't know why I never took the initiative and went. I was invited to the Sharon Tate house to invest. Well, it's not the original house; it's the house on the grounds where her house was, where the murders happened. And apparently, it's very, very active, very active. And I was invited to go and spend some time there, and I just didn't get around to it because of one thing or another.
No.
That would have been good, that, Ray.
That's it. You're always going to regret that now.
Yeah, I probably will. Kerry says, Ray, we have a rule. If something goes wrong, blame Sean. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Jill, Kerry, sorry.
Cheeky monster.
She is. Jill says, where is it gone? Hang on. Jill says, Sean, I really love your jokes. They're so funny.
A lot of Sean love going on here, Ray. You know what I mean?
Well, to be honest, Jill, someone's got to like them. I mean,
right, exactly. Can I move into yoga? Because you seem on my level.
Yeah, I try and give them as much love as I can because it's my charity. You see, it's charity work. You see.
Well, you got it.
Have you got any plans to do any kind of celebrity specials where we see people you invite from television to come with you?
Yeah, we do that. Are you trying to get on the show, Ray?
No.
No, I'm only joking. No, we do celebrity specials, but normally when it's by a celebrity that want to come on, we tend to not do as much as we probably should.
Yeah.
But we do it when they want to come on and do it. You know what I mean? Like Bobby Norris should have come on the one with with Charlie. What, I've forgotten the name of Big Brother, but he should have come on that with us. But doing that Celebrity UK, I think it was the name of it was Celebrity UK Haunted, and we didn't know at the time, so that clashed with the contract.
So.
Okay.
So, shall we? Island Clark.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that didn't last very long, did it?
We didn't, did it?
Kerry says, yep, Ray, that's true with Sean, haha. We make him think we like him.
Oh, and I think we froze there again,
I think
Ray.
we
We
have
froze
froze.
again.
Yes, you have. Oh, guys, you've frozen. So, guys, I'm going to start to wrap this up because we've only got about 5 minutes left. Where can people find you? Oh, no, no. Right, I think they've gone, guys. They might come back. We've only, yeah, they're going to come back very quickly. Say goodbye. There we go. There we go. Right, here we go.
Hi.
And I thought I got rid of them. Oh, hello.
Like a virus. We
We-
just keep coming back.
We heard what you were saying, Ray.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying to guys that the guys that I'm hoping you're going to come back, and you did. So I'm going to wrap things up very slowly. So where can people find you and find your TV shows and reach out to you?
As you can find us on Pluto TV, which is on Now TV, Sky Q. You can find us on the Roku channel, which is on Now TV, Sky Q, I believe. I don't think Pluto is it? You can find us on Amazon Prime, and also we do stuff on YouTube, so make sure you head over and subscribe, or on Facebook.
And you're on Twitter and Instagram.
That's
Yeah.
right, we
Twitter,
are, right?
Instagram.
I've forgotten about those two.
Every single day at 3 p.m. we do a little live Q&A on YouTube.
Yeah,
So
so we
join us for
connect.
that as
Can we connect to everybody?
Yeah, we have a little chat.
Perfect. Perfect, guys. It's been a real pleasure having you on.
Thanks,
you, Ray,
Ray.
so much. Have a lovely
I'll speak to you guys soon. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. See you later. Bye. So that was Sean and Bex from Ghost Dimensions. Thank you, everyone who's asked a question. Please tune in again soon. Next week, I'll be having some more celebrity guests on with me. But for tonight, thank you very, very much. And don't forget to keep safe, keep your social distancing going, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.